For centuries, one name has echoed through history. Whispered in hushed tones, a symbol of a lost paradise and a cautionary tale: Atlantis. Was it just a myth, a fanciful story spun by the ancient Greek philosopher Plato? Or was it a real, thriving civilization, a beacon of advanced technology and profound wisdom deliberately erased from our history books? Today, we're diving deep past the myths and legends to uncover the true story of Atlantis, the advanced ancient city the world tried to forget. Our journey begins not with fantasy, but with a historical account from one of the most respected thinkers of all time, Plato, around 360 BC. He wrote about Atlantis in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias. He didn't describe it as a fairy tale. He presented it as a genuine historical account passed down through generations. Originating from the wise Athenian statesman Solon, who in turn heard it from Egyptian priests. According to Plato, Atlantis was a formidable naval power located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, what we now call the Strait of Gibraltar. It was a continent-sized island, larger than Libya and Asia Minor combined. Plato's description is incredibly detailed. He paints a picture of a magnificent city built in concentric rings of land and water. The architecture was breathtaking, with walls coated in precious metals like brass, tin, and a mysterious glittering red metal called orichalcum, which was said to be second only to gold in value. The Atlanteans weren't just brilliant engineers, they were masters of art and science. Their temples were grand, dedicated to Poseidon, the god of the sea, who was said to be their progenitor. The land was incredibly fertile, supporting a diverse ecosystem and providing 2 harvests a year. They had a sophisticated government, a powerful military with 10,000 chariots, and a population that lived in harmony and prosperity. But what made Atlantis truly special was its advanced technology. Plato hints at knowledge and abilities far beyond what we'd expect from an ancient civilization. Some interpretations of his texts suggest they had mastered forms of energy that could power their cities and perhaps even their vehicles. Think about that for a moment. Clean, powerful energy sources in the ancient world. They allegedly possessed flying machines, sophisticated medical knowledge, and a deep understanding of crystals and their energy-conducting properties. This wasn't just a Bronze Age city. This was a civilization that had reached a technological peak we are only now beginning to comprehend. Their wisdom was said to be just as advanced, with a profound understanding of the cosmos, spirituality, and the very fabric of existence. So, if this incredible civilization existed, what happened to it? According to Plato, the story of Atlantis is a tragedy of hubris. The early Atlanteans were noble and virtuous. But as generations passed, their divine nature was diluted. Greed, ambition, and a lust for power corrupted their hearts. They began to wage wars, seeking to conquer their neighbors, including Athens. It was this moral decay that sealed their fate. As punishment for their arrogance, the gods unleashed a cataclysm of unimaginable scale. In a single terrible day and night, violent earthquakes and floods consumed the island, causing it to sink beneath the waves. vanishing forever. For centuries, this was dismissed as a moral fable. But what if it wasn't? Let's look at the evidence. Plato was very specific about the timing. He said Atlantis fell around 9600 BC. This date is fascinating because it coincides with the end of the last ice age, a period known as the Younger Dryas. This was a time of dramatic climate change, massive glacial melting, and catastrophic sea level rise around the globe. Geologists have found evidence of enormous floods and tectonic activity during this exact period. Could a real landmass, a real civilization, have been swallowed by the rising oceans right when Plato said it was? The search for Atlantis has captivated explorers and researchers for centuries. Where could it be? The most obvious location is the Atlantic Ocean, right where Plato said it was. Expeditions have explored the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, the Azores, and the Canary Islands, searching for signs of submerged structures. In the 1960s, a strange man-made looking rock formation was discovered off the coast of Bimini in the Bahamas. Known as the Bimini Road, some, like author Charles Berlitz, claimed it was a remnant of Atlantis. While geologists have largely identified it as a natural beach rock formation, the mystery and the allure persist. Another compelling theory points to the Mediterranean. The volcanic eruption of Thera, now the island of Santorini, around 1600 BC, was one of the largest explosions in human history. It utterly devastated the Minoan civilization on the nearby island of Crete. The Minoans were a highly advanced Bronze Age culture with magnificent palaces, beautiful art, and a powerful navy. The parallels are striking. A sophisticated island civilization destroyed by a cataclysm. Could Plato's story be a distorted memory of the Minoan collapse, with the dates and details changed over time as the story was passed down? It's a plausible theory, but it doesn't quite fit Plato's timeline or his description of a continent-sized landmass. But what if we've been looking in the wrong place entirely? Some researchers have proposed more radical locations. One fascinating candidate is the Richet structure in Mauritania, Africa, viewed from space. This massive geological formation looks uncannily like Plato's description of Atlantis's capital city, with its concentric rings of land and water. The dimensions even roughly match what Plato described. Geologists say it's a natural dome that has eroded over time, but the similarities are so startling that they ignited a firestorm of debate online and in alternative history circles. Could this desert formation be the fossilized remains of the ancient city? Another theory takes us all the way to Antarctica. The idea is that before the last ice age, Antarctica was located in a more temperate zone and was ice-free. It could have been home to an advanced civilization that was flash-frozen when the Earth's crust shifted, plunging the continent into its current polar position. This is based on ancient maps like the Piri Reis map of 1513, which appears to show the coast of Antarctica but without its ice cap. Mainstream historians argue the map is a composite of other sources. But for proponents of this theory, it's tantalizing evidence of lost ancient knowledge. So we have all these theories, all these potential locations. But this brings us to the most provocative part of our story. The idea that Atlantis wasn't just lost, it was erased. Why would anyone want to hide the existence of such an incredible civilization? Perhaps the story of Atlantis holds a truth that is too dangerous or too disruptive for our current understanding of history. The conventional view is that human civilization began around 6,000 years ago in Mesopotamia. The existence of a highly advanced global civilization 12,000 years ago would shatter that timeline. It would mean that we are a species with amnesia, that there was a great reset in our distant past, a cataclysm that wiped the slate clean and forced the survivors to start over from scratch. Thinkers like Graham Hancock have spent their careers arguing for this very idea. They suggest that the survivors of this lost civilization, whether it was Atlantis or another name, spread out across the globe, sharing their knowledge with the primitive cultures they encountered. They became the civilizing gods, or wisdom bringers we see in myths from Egypt to Mesoamerica to the Andes. They taught humanity about agriculture, astronomy, architecture, and mathematics. Sites like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, a complex temple built 11,600 years ago by what were supposedly hunter-gatherers, directly challenge the mainstream narrative and lend credence to this idea of a lost advanced parent culture. Could it be that mainstream academia, for whatever reason, has actively suppressed this evidence? Perhaps to protect established theories, or perhaps for reasons far more complex. The story of Atlantis serves as a powerful warning. It's a tale of a society that reached a pinnacle of material and technological success, only to be destroyed by its own arrogance and moral failings. Is it possible that this lesson is one that powerful institutions don't want us to fully grasp? A lesson that true progress isn't just about technology, but about wisdom, compassion, and our connection to the planet. The truth of Atlantis may still be hidden, buried under miles of ocean water, desert sand, or glacial ice. Or perhaps it's hidden in plain sight, encoded in the myths and megalithic structures left behind by our ancestors. It's a puzzle with pieces scattered across the globe, and we are the generation that finally has the technology and the open-mindedness to start putting them together. The story of Atlantis is not just a story about the past. It's a story about our potential and a warning for our future. It forces us to ask, who are we? Where did we come from? And what incredible chapters of our human story have been torn from the book of history? The search continues, and what we find might just change everything we thought we knew about ourselves. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the mysteries of Atlantis. What do you believe? Was it a real place, a myth, or something in between? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey into our forgotten past, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration. Thanks for watching.